Hello, Guardians. Welcome back to Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, back from his little hiatus, the blunderbuss bamboozler, Space Grandma's favorite child, 2 dregs in a Josh costume, Shahan's biggest fanboy, and the Kelliest of Kells, Josh Finney.
It was
Hi,
nice
Josh.
Hi, Corey. It was a very weird week last week, not being on here at our normal time. But I trust that Nerd handled the chair and the responsibility well.
You know, he did good.
Good.
Proud of him. He did good.
He's a nice young man. No, I'm very happy to be back. Needed to take some time off. Needed to step away for a few days. Not be online as much, and it did a lot for me. So, but I'm back. I'm ready to talk some Destiny. I can't believe I messaged Corey last Thursday, and I was like, I cannot believe that we have the details for Bungie's next game leaking out on the day that I'm not going to be here.
Yeah, I mean, you want to touch on that real quick? I want
to hit that real quick at the top of the show.
Yeah.
So last week,
Because I was like,
I
was really happy to talk about it last week, and then, no offense to Nerd, but he's like, I don't know anything about Marathon. I'm like, oh.
So okay, I
Nerd.
am not like ultra familiar with Marathon. I will be completely honest. I've had my moments with it, but the kind of the basis of it is like Marathon, of course, Bungie's first IP, their first ever shooter. I'm extremely curious to see how this is adapted for a new generation. I've seen a lot of poo-pooing kind of about the idea in the last couple of weeks, or not couple of weeks, like in the last week, I guess. Being like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, it's free to play, and like free to play are 3 words that really like will put off like most FPS fans right away, right? Like, it has to be done right. It has to be something like Apex, or it has to be, Fortnite. Like, it has to be the right type of game to really tap into it. I mean, like, look how many of us have made fun of Fortnite for years and now find ourselves with Zero Build playing a lot of Fortnite. I think it's going to be something similar to this. Like, the challenge for me was trying to figure out what this is going to be on, because it's when everybody saw NetEase, they were like, oh, well, this is the mobile game. Like, not necessarily. NetEase works on console games too. Like, NetEase is a smaller company that can, well, not smaller, but it's a company that is smaller than Tencent, that is a competitor with Tencent in China. China, Korea, etc. The way that the wording was on the initial report was, this started out as a collaboration with NetEase. And I have a feeling that those goals probably shifted sometime in development, and they were like, hey, we could bring this to a console audience instead. So I think it's a pretty safe bet this is going to be PC, PS5, Series X. If it is free to play, and the reports make it sound like, oh, there's going to be story expansions a la Destiny and whatnot. To me, this sounds like it's going to be free to play in the way that Destiny 2 is free to play. Like, it's not really free to play, but, good luck thinking that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of how I see it too.
The other thing I kind of want to touch on is that, when Destiny was first announced, we had looter shooters. We had things like Borderlands that were starting to emerge. And there wasn't really something that had like nailed that. And I still think Bungie has done like pretty poor on like the loot aspect. I think calling Destiny a looter shooter is disingenuous. I think like an FPS RPG is much more in line, especially with how Destiny 2 has continued to evolve and whatnot. It may have started out as a looter, but it definitely is not anymore as far as I'm concerned.
Right.
And they always said they wanted it to compete and like be alongside like MMOs and things like that. I mean, raids, the Vault of Glass was born out of Luke Smith and the raid team wanting to have an experience like in World of Warcraft. So I think when I look at this, we have extraction shooters, Escape from Tarkov being one of them. Call of Duty has done an extraction mode before. The Division's Dark Zone is a very like mild version of an extraction game. Rainbow Six Extraction exists. This kind of feels like Bungie tried to predict the future again and was like, what if we do this? Like, Marathon is a franchise that I do not think a lot of people are nostalgic for. You're gonna see a lot of like the older generation, I think. Like, and Corey, I would say you're even on the back end of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, the first time I ever played Marathon was actually like in the computer lab at school. Somebody
Mhm.
had installed it on a, one of those Macs with like, remember those like weird Macs with the colored backs on them
I
that are,
do.
yeah, I think I played Durandal on that, on one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it was. I like that you bring up Mac because Bungie originally made games for Mac.
Hmm.
It was supposed to be Mac's answer to Doom,
Yeah, and
and
it kind of was to an
yeah,
extent,
it kind of is. I like
but
that they're reimagining this as a third person shooter.
hmm, oh yeah,
This sounds interesting to me. This is probably one of the games that, because I mean, of course, Sony and Microsoft both knew about Destiny already. This is probably the game that for me tipped Sony into going, I want this game.
hmm,
Um, I could see now the picture is kind of becoming a little bit more clearer when it comes to like the publishing rights, which we know was like the center of the acquisition and like why Microsoft ultimately did not get more aggressive about it. Um, I have a feeling that Microsoft, because when they brought it to Xbox, they technically published it
hmm,
back in the day. I have a feeling that Microsoft want to be like, no, we like this is a classic franchise. Like, this is a in the FPS world, like this is a classic franchise. We want to make this exclusive. And I think that's where Bungie was probably like, no. In addition to the rumored single player game that we've heard about, like who knows if that is or is not happening or when it's happening.
yeah,
Um, so like again, I think that this is like much like when Fallout 3 came out, this is probably going to be like 95, 98% of us. This is probably going to be our very first interaction with Marathon. Um, the second set of armor, the armor you can get in Xur's treasure room in the 30th anniversary, that is inspired by Marathon, as well as I believe the Wastelander shotgun and Pardon Our Dust, the grenade launcher. I believe those are both Marathon inspired as well.
hmm,
So there's a lot of history there. It makes sense that Bungie kind of wants to go back to their roots a little bit. Obviously, they can't go back to Halo, but they were smart to retain the ownership of Marathon. Um, I don't know. This game is probably the one that we've heard. Like we know from the report that they're aiming to release it before 2025. This is probably that unknown IP that we've heard about, that Bungie themselves has even addressed a couple times in the past. That they want to launch one new or one non-Destiny IP. Um, this would not be a new IP though. That's the thing I want to note. This would not be a new IP.
mm-mm.
So maybe there's still something else. I don't know. This is probably coming out post final, because you have to imagine almost everything is just batten down the hatches on final shape and on whatever the hell matter is. Like,
Yeah,
did matter become this? Like, I don't think so, because that was an arena shooter
no,
from everything we've
no,
heard. So,
yeah,
um, the word on the street is with this though that like it could be revealed at any time. Like it's kind of probably ready to be shown. Like they need to staff up majorly for it. Like it's past the conceptual phase, so they need to start like majorly hiring for it. Um, and as we all know, that's why CG trailers are shown so much.
hmm,
Is it's proof of concept, like what we want to do, where we're going, and it's to make people want to come work for you. Bungie's not really hurting in that department. So I don't think that'll be a problem. Like a lot of their positions are for unknown IP or for new IP and things like
right.
that. Um, so
So
I'm
what? So it would matter. So matter is probably the arena shooter, right? That's what we've decided, right?
yeah. I mean, like for lack of a better word, like Destiny. Like I'm just gonna call it like a Destiny Crucible game.
Right.
Um, whether it ends up like Overwatch or Valorant or whatever remains to be seen, or it's just Crucible detached from the game. You would have to think there would be some sort of cross progression between regular Destiny and Crucible.
Hmm.
Um, so I would imagine that's what's being worked on, because so many of the PvP leads are still at Bungie but are not working on Destiny actively.
Right.
So you have to think that's what they're working on. I think it's probably safe to assume that at least a couple of them shifted over to Marathon now.
Yeah.
If it's going to be extraction based, like it would make sense. Because that's going to have a pretty heavy PvP component. And then, I mean, if they're working on anything else, like the mobile game, I mean, I'm not even focusing on that. Like whatever, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm not putting a ton of stock in that.
Right.
Um,
So would that be like? So would that be for like besides Destiny, 3 other games in development? Because or
yes,
is
we
would
knew there were 3 or 4 in development this
right.
time last year.
So would that and that mean would that mean that Marathon would be the hero shooter that we're talking about here, or
No,
am
I
I
don't.
because
I think the hero shooter we were hearing about. I want to say that that will likely be tied to the Crucible game.
okay, yeah, because I was just trying to
I'm
think
not sure. Like, and
out
that's
loud.
the thing is like I'm not totally sold that the hero shooter is actually a thing either. I know we've
Yeah,
talked about it pretty extensively. I'm
I'm
be
just
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking like when I think extraction shooter, which is kind of what Marathon's been
It's Escape
described
from
at, right?
Tarkov.
It's yeah, but like my initial thought was like, well, that Rainbow Six game that came out earlier this year was technically an extraction game,
Yes.
and you used
Yes.
heroes, right? The heroes from
Yeah, I mean,
Siege.
I guess you're right.
So
And
like
I full disclosure, I've never played Tarkov. I don't have a PC. Games like that just simply do not interest me.
the
Um,
only time I ever hear about Tarkov is because I follow Dr. Lupo and he plays it all the time.
it's a very popular game with streamers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Okay. So once in game, players are given an extraction point on the other side of the map and must fight against other players and non-player characters to reach that point in order to escape. I don't know. I'm curious to see how this goes. Like you definitely could do that. Obviously, you could have heroes.
I mean, I'm sure there's going to be classes, but I wouldn't go so far as to maybe say they're heroes, right? Kind of like, I guess, kind of like Destiny, right? Like you could probably have like
I mean,
a
I would
medic and
say it
a
would be heroes in like
assault,
the way that Apex does them. I could 100% see that. Like you have a handful of ones that are free, and that's where the free to play part comes in. Then you have to pay for subsequent heroes for additional ones. I could see that happening, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure how like Bungie's traditional player base is going to react to a game like this either. I think that's the most interesting thing to watch here.
yeah. So I don't know. I just this whole thing is just kind of like,
And of course, like all of this is just like our little predictions until we actually get something concrete announced.
yeah,
Which I would say is probably gonna happen sometime next year. I would be very surprised if we got through next year without getting Bungie's next game revealed. I wouldn't even be shocked if we got a cinematic trailer for Marathon at the Game Awards this year.
yeah. That I mean, that would be the place where it makes sense.
Yeah,
Uh,
because at this point, it's pretty apparent we're not getting a PlayStation showcase this year.
I mean, they
Um,
wouldn't do it at like a seasonal Bungie, like a Destiny reveal, would they? I
no,
mean, that wouldn't
no,
make sense.
no, because it would have to say that they're going to do um a Bungie showcase instead of a Destiny showcase.
Right.
And like they've been very specific in their wording. They call it like a Destiny 2 showcase. So like even then we were like, man, could we see like Destiny spinoff or could we see a mobile game? Like that's until they like drop the 2 off of that. No. Um I don't know. I'm very curious to see how this ends up going.
Yeah.
So, but Corey, we have a lot of Destiny talk to do this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk some Destiny, man. There's a lot.
Let's
There's a
jump
lot
into
going on.
Destiny. I did also we had a question, and I feel like a bad host. I have not listened to last week's episode yet. Did you guys pick a? You did not pick a nickname winner last week, correct?
No, because it's reserved for you.
Okay,
So
so
we're extending the contest by a week.
okay, okay, so we'll. Did we read nicknames from last week?
No, we
Okay.
didn't. No,
Okay. Okay.
we were saving them for you. I had a few for nerd though.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
fun,
Got you.
including Shaq's undergarments.
Oh, gotcha. Gotcha. All right. I wanted to
We
make sure
talked
we
we
weren't
talked a
too
lot of
far behind.
we did do a lore corner last week though.
Okay.
So
Um. So Twab, it's not quite as beefy as I was led to believe. There's a lot of people going like, "Oh my god, it's so beefy." Like, it's it's all right. It's fine. Um. First things first, up here at the top. Of course. We found out earlier today that the voice actress who plays Ikora, like just before this published, ended up getting rushed to the hospital.
yeah.
Has multiple clots in her lungs, so hoping for the best for her and a speedy recovery. Mara Junot, I hope I pronounced her name correctly. Um, the English voice of Ikora Ray, as of the Witch Queen. So hoping her a safe and speedy recovery there. There's some cool threads of light, or haunts of threads of fright is what they're calling it here. One themed around Telesto, one around Maskless Darth Vader, and one around Silent Hill. If you want to check those out. But the meat and potatoes of this week, crafting. We're going back to crafting. I was off for a whole week, and they're like, "Oh God, we got to bring him back. We got to give him some crafting. We got to give him some crafting news." Um, Deepstone Crypt, as of next season, you can craft Deepstone Crypt weapons. I'm very excited about this. Each encounter has a chance to drop a deep sight version of a raid weapon, and players may purchase one per week from the final chest after defeating Taniks. When Deepstone Crypt is the featured raid of the week, encounter drops are uncapped. This means you can run a full raid in each encounter multiple times, hunting for deep sight drops. I will be farming the ever loving hell out of the security encounter to get
Yeah.
trustee and succession drops. I will
Yep.
be trying to get those too.
Did you see the meme going on around today? It was like this airport escalator thing that says it was like Guardians when they find out Deepstone Crypt weapons are craftable, and it's just like people just flooding down this escalator, like
Oh
walking
yeah,
over each other.
yeah.
It's pretty funny.
I'm so excited for this. Chris Proctor talked about it a little bit here. When updating perk pools on older weapons, the goal is to keep the most beloved combinations and drop the rest to make room for new perks. With Deepstone Crypt specifically, we look for new perks that synergize well with the perks that originated with Deepstone Crypt: Reconstruction, Recombination, and Redirection. I.e., perk combinations could look like Reconstruction plus Focused Fury, or 4 times the Charm plus Redirection. We also took the opportunity to add perks to weapons that have never had them before. We created quite a few new perks since Beyond Light shipped. We're excited to see how players mix and match for their builds. Here are some roles I'm personally excited for: Heritage, which is the Slug Shotty; Reconstruction and Focused Fury; Posterity as the hand cannon with Volt Shot Rampage. That's going to be spicy. And my
That's spicy.
personal favorite, this, I swear to God, when I get it, like, good luck prying this out of my hands. Trusty, which is the Scout, the Solar Scout Rifle with Rapid Hit and Incandescent. And there will be a new origin trait for the weapons called Bray Inheritance. So I'm very excited. Reconstruction is confirmed to be a crafted trait. It'll be a craftable perk. So I'm very, very interested to see how that goes. And starting on December 6th, when the next season launches, you will be able to start crafting them. That is a very welcome addition. Johnny and I were talking about this earlier, and we're both really happy to see this. I would argue that something like Last Wish or Garden of Salvation needs this more. Um, and that irregardless, it shouldn't have taken as long as it has. I understand that to do this probably means that you have to do less weapons somewhere else. And that maybe, other areas are going to suffer a little bit, unfortunately. But with it being standard now for at least raids, when they drop, I have a feeling that Vault of Glass will probably be the next one to get this treatment. I'd almost like to see us like settle into a cadence of like every season we're updating an older activity, which leads us to our first question of the night. I'm reading this out here instead of later on because it's relevant to something that I really wanted to discuss tonight. Let me get this question pulled up for us. I think is it from Zhao? No, it's not. Where is it?
Where are the questions,
Fuck.
everybody?
Oh, it's from Tiger Jesus. Sorry, I'm
Tiger Jesus.
getting my questions mixed up. Tiger Jesus writes in and asks, "Do you guys think the core activities will get a major overhaul the whole year of Lightfall?" All right, let's everybody pull up a chair.
Come on, Josh. Let's
Everyone pull up a chair because I gotta tell you about the way of the world. I'm gonna adjust my chair. Fuck no. It's not happening. We've been asking for this. I kid you not. Like, this has been a community request like since Shadowkeep. We kind of halfway got it with Beyond Light when they started introducing playlist specific weapons for Strikes, Gambit, and Crucible. And then they just kind of stopped. We thought that the next evolution of that was going to be, in terms of like loot acquisition, was going to be the Saint 14 system. They did Saint, and then they introduced Iron Banner and Gambit, and we were like, yes, this is great. And then they just kind of stopped. For whatever inexplicable reason, we haven't gotten this on Strikes, for like regular ass strike weapons. I'm not even asking for Nightfall weapons. I'm asking for regular strike weapons and Crucible weapons. You still cannot focus those engrams.
Nope.
That is wildly maddening to me. I don't understand why Gambit gets that perk, but you can't do it for the other two activities, which I think the overwhelming majority of the player base is much more likely to go play.
Right.
That would be step number one towards revamping these. Okay, if you were able to do that. Two, I think revamping playlists looks a lot like, I mean, we can't even begin to talk about revamping playlists before Bungie goes in and addresses the mountain of concerns with PvP. It's pretty clear that we've kind of hit a tipping point for the PvP community over the last couple of months, to the point where, and this is going to tie into a later question we have from Joasis, they are making their concerns very loudly known. They're basically at the point of, we're no longer asking, we're flat out telling you that we're getting refunds. And I think I think there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. I think expressing like, hey, I'm going to get a refund because I don't see you like wanting to take care of like the PvP side of the game. Well, I mean, you kind of knew that back in August. Why'd you go ahead and pre-order it anyways? Like,
Right.
what was the whole point of that? And then swearing they're not going to buy it. Like, okay, yeah, cool. We'll see you. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Right.
We'll see you back here around Thanksgiving time. Got it. I think that it kind of sets a pattern though of, they're not wrong in that Bungie has seemingly just gone completely quiet on the PvP side of things. I understand, and I totally understand the frustration. Like, I think some of the changes that have been made have been a little on the wild side. I'm not quite sure that Control needs quitter penalties, but I think that's also born out of a lot of people were quitting matches because they didn't like who they were playing against, or there was a 6-stack on the other team and this and that. Like, they were just quitting out. And those same people are now upset that they are being temporarily banned from matchmaking. And it's like, well, in y'all's case, I kind of understand this. Like, the only people I can understand like being legitimately upset about the quitter penalties is those who have connections that occasionally get dropped. Mine does that. Mine does that, full disclosure. I get that message when I start playing Gambit. My
Right.
internet has been known to kick me when I'm in Gambit for whatever reason. It's like only in that mode. I think my internet's trying to save me from myself. Somebody in AT and
Well,
T
to
is
be
looking out for
fair,
me.
to be fair, your internet also cuts out during the show sometimes.
Well, we figured that out though. We think we have genuinely figured out that it's Discord that's crashing my internet, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
My
Of all
old
the things.
janky laptop, it actually takes up a ridiculous amount of like RAM to run that on a computer from a decade ago. Who would know? But I don't think we can begin to talk about the health of the other playlists. I mean, everybody knows Gambit has been down bad for like 3 years now. They have tried repeatedly to fix Gambit, inject some life into it. That's just not going to happen. They're trying new modes for Gambit. I don't think those have gone over well either. That playlist is deader than a doornail, as far as I'm concerned. Like, I think it's time just to take Gambit completely out of the game. Bring it back as like its own timed event a couple times a season or something, like once a month or something. Bring it back. Call it Trials of the Nine. Call it whatever you gotta call it.
Yeah, this
Um,
Gambit almost seems like a mode that could be like like Crimson Days thing or something, you know? I mean, not like 4 Crimson Days, but, you know, like, just like a 2 or 3
yeah,
week event.
I think it would be like a year long of all year thing, but it would be like 3 or 4 times a season they would bring it back. It
Yeah,
would not be like a permanent mode.
yeah.
Um,
Almost like Iron Banner.
yeah, very similar to Iron Banner or like Trials, how they're only around for like certain times. Maybe not Trials, but Iron Banner definitely. Um, I think that Gambit probably needs to be taken out though, and it
Yeah.
needs to be brought in maybe like 3 4 times a season max. That'll like ease the frustrations a little bit. I think maybe allow for some like more targeted fixes for it. Give the and especially because like we haven't gotten a new map in 2.5 years.
Right.
Hell, it's been even longer than that. It's God, we're going
It's
on.
been like 3, 3
We've
and a
we
half ish.
Yeah, it's been about 3.5. The last time we got a new map for Gambit was before Shadowkeep.
Jeez, that's
That's
so long
Yeah,
ago.
it was a Season of Opulence. That's frankly inexcusable. We've had whole ass raids getting introduced and taken out of the game in that time. Gambit feels like a mode that was never supposed to be here, like long term, and then they just kind of leaned into it. I frankly think
Oh,
Gambit probably should have been vaulted alongside uh, Shadowkeep and maybe brought out like a year or two later.
I wonder I wonder if it was one of those modes that they meant to be some sort of seasonal or some sort of like extra mode that they brought in, and then they had to get Destiny 2 out the door and they needed to have something else in there. You know, I don't know. Maybe I'm just making stuff up now, but that's
I
kind
don't.
of what it feels like.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not. I can't speak to that one personally. This feels like something that because I mean it was brand new for Forsaken and it was a big deal, and I genuinely think it was good for like the first year. It started showing problems during the Shadowkeep year, I would say.
Hmm.
And then from like the beginning of Beyond Light onward, it's just been completely unplayable.
Yeah,
Um, because the problems with it, like there were problems in the very beginning, and it was linear fusion rifles hilariously. Um, and then it was fine. And then Truth was brought in, and Truth just made it a complete nightmare to play Gambit.
yeah,
Um, I think that was kind of like the beginning of the end for it, and it kind of I don't want to say like limped along. There were definitely ways to counter it as it went on, but towards the end of Shadowkeep, beginning of Beyond Light, it just became completely unplayable. I think at that point, it probably they should have been like, okay, and hindsight is 2020, right? Like we should have been able to sit here and say, well, that needs to go into the vault and so we can fix it and give it like the attention it deserves. Like, oh, we need to start shifting our attitude. We need to shift all our resources to fixing PvE and PvP. We cannot allow this to get stagnant. And unfortunately, it's gotten that way. I don't know what the solution is here for either of those players. I don't know how you make strikes more interesting. I don't know what you do to revamp that. Do you bring strike scoring back permanently, maybe, and not just like in Nightfalls or during Guardian games? Do you?
yeah. I don't know how you do that.
I think
More champions.
I can't believe I'm gonna say. Well, I mean, like I'm talking like because I think Nightfalls are. I think Nightfalls are okay. Like you have new loot there and rotating loot every week and every season. I think that part of the thing is I don't know what the staff looks like on the rituals side of things, but I think that there needs to be I'm hesitant to say there needs to be new armor every season for these activities because I think that's just a ludicrous expectation. But maybe like every month we could get or every season we could get a new activities updated with armor. So like we get trials armor once a year. Well, what if the other 3 seasons out of the year you did strikes, crucible, and gambit?
Right.
You just got into a rotation, and if you remove Gambit from that, cool, you can have Iron Banner take its place then. Or if Gambit becomes a limited time event, then there you go. I think there needs to be like some special effects for the armor too. So like we should be hearing about this comp rework very soon. Comp rework is supposed to happen with season 19, and we're like 5 weeks out and know nothing about it.
Yeah.
They may be holding that really close to the chest because, and I have a feeling we won't hear about that until the week before, because if it's not exactly what these players want, there's going to be an absolute meltdown across socials. I think that part of what I think would add to it is what if there were armor ornament sets you could earn in GMs or in comp,
I
like
mean, that'd be
special armor
cool.
ornaments. I'm
I
not
think it
saying,
would be cool.
I don't know if you can do that every season because I don't know how sustainable that is, but or like
I mean, they're doing
maybe
it. They're doing it for Eververse for the subclasses.
yeah, I mean, I think that they've just like kind of baked in that Eververse is always going to be a thing. Like, that makes them
Yeah.
legitimate money, and it frustrates me to say it, but that's probably not going anywhere, unfortunately. Um, I think that making ornament sets for the activities of like Guardian games and stuff, that energy could probably be put towards doing more ritual armor instead. Because I mean, we already have either that or take out the sets that are in there for each season as it is now. Like not necessarily the subclass sets, but like take out um the Fortnite set's also a different case I feel, but like um I'm just gonna pull one out of my ass. The Season of the Chosen last year, we got that Celestial set where it was like the
Yeah.
constellations. What if you could earn that set through like an activity of your choosing? Or and like as you
What if
like
they did a system like spoils almost?
so I don't know that spoils is the way. I think my idea is like based more along the lines of the Trials armor. So like with Trials armor, when you go flawless, you glow. And
Right.
remember, like in Destiny 1, when you completed the Nightfall for the week, you got that aura above you.
Yeah.
What if your special armor, your special Nightfall armor, glowed depending on what level of Nightfall you'd completed that week?
Yeah. You could.
Or like it changed the glow based on like a special emblem that you've earned. Like you get a special emblem for completing all the Grandmasters for that season, and like now whenever you wear that with your armor, you get a special glow
Yeah.
for that season. Like I think that would be a cool avenue to go. But it's clear like ghost shells and sparrows are not going to be enough to sustain challenges for these two modes, and that's why I'm completely at a loss on what to do with Gambit. I think when it comes to like strikes, you're gonna have to do some stuff for regular strikes. Like they need some love too, or not regular strikes. God, I mean regular Crucible. You're gonna have to have some love for them. But I think that obviously Nightfalls, and then into GMs, and on the PvP side, you have comp, you have trials, you have um, Iron Banner as the other
Hmm.
modes. And there needs to be like Iron Banner is fine in terms of the rewards. Like, why can't we get that for like why can't we get that in regular Crucible or in survival every season? I
Right.
do think that the ultimate way you're going to do it with survival. I've seen a lot of people say like, "Oh, the best that PvP ever was back when we were earning weapons like Recluse and Mountaintop in there. That you had to prove you deserved them." And it's like, no, because then you had the best PvE weapons, best PvP and PvE weapons locked behind having to get like this awesome score in comp, and I don't think that was healthy for the game at all. That was
Hmm.
where you saw a lot of resentment from the larger community. That may fix your problem, but that doesn't fix the overall community resentment.
Right.
That would open up a whole nother can of worms that I think ultimately would lead to the game losing a lot of players if that started happening again. But I think the other conversation that needs to happen is, why are things vaulted anymore? Power level doesn't matter, basically. You have to have power level to do GMs, to do trials, and to do something. I think if you just like had this like super long quest to do to be able to play trials or comp, that would probably help with the bots and the cheaters.
Yeah.
Um, you got to do something though, and I mean like I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility for you to sit there and say, well, we're still gonna ban Mountaintop, Recluse, Revoker. Like those three are definitely still going to be sunset in certain modes. Like we've seen that they can disable guns for certain modes before, like just in PvP, or like a piece of armor in PvP or a piece of armor only in PvE. Like we've seen that happen before. And again, like I don't know with spaghetti code, I'm backseat developing here. Like, is there a way you could code it to where like Mountaintop, Recluse, Revoker would still be unable to be used in high end PvP? So in trials and in uh, comp, and if they would be unusable in let's say any raid that came out within any raid or dungeon that came out within the last year, or um grandmasters.
I mean, they probably could, right? Because they disable stuff all the time
Yeah,
for
I would think like
new activities.
that may be something that like injects a little bit of health into the game. Like, hey, no more, no more. I mean, obviously sunsetting is gone, but like also like unvaulting everything that's not in the kiosk would just cause pandemonium because
Uh
people would be so upset that they deleted all those roles. Um, I want to see what the legacy focusing looks like before I start proposing things along that line. But I think like we talk about health. We talk about the health of the game, and the same people who have been streaming for some of the same solutions that we just talked about are upset about circling all the way back to Deepstone. They're upset that Deepstone is getting updated weapons and perk pools. And it's like that's gonna get people to go play this again. What do you not understand about that? Like, you say you want old content worth running again. It's worth running again now. You can craft those weapons. You can go get new rolls on them. You can have some of the best rolls these guns have ever had now, along with a new origin trait, which we don't know what that is yet. We don't know what Bray inheritance is.
Right.
But like, you can't say that you want things updated and they go, wait, no, not like that. Like, make up your mind. I will take this right now. I will go a step further and say that not only does this need it, Vault needs it, Last Wish needs it, Garden needs it, Grasp of Avarice, and Prophecy and Duality. Those 6 activities all need this. They all need
Yeah.
to be updated like this. And I imagine that you would probably need a team dedicated to doing this if you were to pursue this. I really hope that maybe some of the Lightfall weapons team gets done early and can start working on this ahead of time.
Yeah, but you don't think
That
they
would
would just
inject.
move on? You don't think they would just move on to final shape?
I mean, they probably would, but if you can get it, like, because you can always bump something back a month or two if you need to in terms of development.
Yeah.
If this helps with the long term health of the game, and this is like you build this as like this is the final time we're taking a pass at these,
Yeah.
then fine. Like, there is no reason why dungeon weapons should not be craftable at this point. Zero reason. Zero reason why they should not be craftable. Like, the older raids and dungeons, I get it. Duality launching without crafting was bizarre. You could craft fixed odds and Epicurean, but you couldn't craft Storm Chaser. Like, you couldn't craft Unforgiven or New Purpose. Like, that's half the reason why I had to sit there and do 60 runs for a suitable Storm Chaser.
Right.
I
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't want this to go down a crafting. I don't want to go down like a crafting hole,
Hole.
because we're about to hit we're about to talk about crafting again. Like, we're kind of talking about here, and we're going to talk about it again. I kind of want to finish the discussion up on health of older activities. Like, I think that would inject some health into them. I don't know how you save um, Shattered Throne or Pit of Heresy at this point. I don't think you can.
Yeah, I really don't
Going
think you
back
can
and
either.
adding like entire weapon suites to those would just be a giant kick in the dick after like 5 years.
Yeah.
I would be very upset if they came out and said, "Oh yeah, we have an entire suite of weapons that you can only get from the Shattered Throne or from Pit of Heresy," and I'd be like, "Fuck you guys! Like, I'm out of here. I'm completely and totally out of here. I'm done. Goodbye, goodbye. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. I'm done." I really hope that Bungie is seeing the reactions today, and I really hope that they've seen the reactions to crafting and have decided to make the weapons in the next dungeon craftable, because it's going to be rough if those weapons are not craftable in December's dungeon. That's going to be rough. And like, when we talk about overall health, it's not just like revamping the goals of what these playlists set out to do, it's revamping the rewards, especially because I think that most of us would be fine with running strikes and running nightfalls. Like, I've groaned so many times about, I really am tired of doing arms dealer. But you
Oh
know
yeah.
why I like arms dealer? Arms dealer is a 10-minute strike. You know why I like Lake of Shadows? Lake of Shadows is 5 minutes. I like these because I've done them so many fucking times, and I would not mind keep doing them if the rewards are there. That's why I like when those are up for GMs and like a good farmable weapon is up. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go farm these. I'll go do inverted spiral like 10 times this week for the right weapon. I don't
Yeah.
mind doing it. Like, Malicious Birthright is up this week, and you better believe this weekend I'm going in and using my catch-up node, and I'm doing Devil's Lair, I'm doing Fallen Saber, I'm doing Omnigul, I'm doing the 3 easiest GMs to try and get a good Malicious Birthright this weekend. So I don't have a huge problem with what they're trying to do on the surface, but we need more. And leads me to kind of the final point, which is it is long past time for us to get a state of the game.
Yeah.
You are now at a point where, and I mean, maybe they're saving to do one in December, but we're coming up on 2 years since the last one. Believe it or not, the last state of the game we got was the announcement that Witch Queen was getting pushed back, and that was March
March.
2021.
Yeah.
It was end of February, beginning of March 2021 is when we got that announcement.
Yeah.
And we have heard crickets since. The showcase really didn't address in PvP terms. It did not address anything for PvP. It did not address anything on the health of Gambit or Iron Banner or Trials. And that was really, we thought we were going to see the comp rework there. Didn't get that. Understandably, that probably wasn't ready for prime time yet.
You think we'll get one with the reveal of the next season?
I'm hoping we do, because that's when like the Lightfall stuff would start ramping up, and it would make sense to start talking about the stuff for that year.
Yeah.
I mean, we got a preview of so many things. Like part of what would be in a state of the game, I feel like we got in the showcase, which is LFG is coming, loadouts are coming, and things of that nature. But we need more. We need you to acknowledge that the game is not in a healthy place. The last thing we heard almost 2 years ago was, we understand that PvP is important to you guys, and we want to start shifting attention to PvP like we have PvE. And well, that hasn't really happened. And that's one of the few things that I would really like take Bungie to task on, is you abandoned Gambit completely and you keep calling it a core activity, which is laughable at this point. We don't even
Mhm.
play it. We don't even play it unless we have to.
I don't remember the last time I actually played Gambit, to be honest with you.
I played like 3 matches last season to get my 3 or 4 matches to get my challenges done, and that was it. And I will probably do the same thing this season. Like, I've given up on caring about the cosmetics from there. I'm not even attempting to get, and this is how burned out I am on those activities. And like, again, reward systems would get me in there. I've seen a lot of people call for map voting in Crucible. Like, I mean, I don't know how hard that would be to implement. I also like fear that I would always be stuck on like one of the Mercury maps, or like on maps that I've played for like 8 years now, dating back to
Right.
Destiny 1. I don't really want to keep playing the same Venus/Nessus map.
Oh, you mean you don't want to keep replaying the same map that they just changed the colors on to
No, I'm so fucking
introduce a
tired
new
of
group?
Shores of Time. Is like, it's triggering for me. I I like that's one solution I've seen for health, is map voting, and I don't know about that.
No,
But
I don't think we need that. I think we just need new maps.
because I think and I mean, yeah, I one of the criticisms I always see is, well, there were always so many more maps when Activision was here, and it's like, yeah, 3 support studios were working with Bungie. They had one of those basically only making maps.
High Moon was only making assets and maps.
Yeah, that left Bungie to
That's
basically
why we
make
didn't
the
get a good
raids.
Transformers game after that.
It's really frustrating, and I'm really hoping that, like, and then there's like this misconception that, like, if your company just got bought for $3 billion, what are you doing with that money? Like, well, a nice chunk of that money is going to be distributed to the employees.
Yeah.
Like, we
So
already know that.
yeah. I mean, you got to retain the talent. Like
You got to retain the talent. A lot of that's probably going to go into recruiting even more talent. And honestly, Bungie's a studio that's not going to be hurting for talent, but this
Plus,
kind
aren't
of
they
goes.
open? They're still opening the publishing arm in what, Amsterdam, right?
Yep.
So some of that money's going there, I'm
Some
sure.
of that money's going there. And now that we know that they're doing Marathon, they're still doing that game with NetEase. Like, maybe NetEase is invested on Marathon too. Like, who fucking knows at this point? They're working on another shooter set in the Destiny universe, presumably. Like, they're trying to expand into multimedia. Like, not everybody they hire is coming just to work on Destiny 2 PvP. And that's both a great thing, like, for video games, because that means we have more of Bungie's like top class shooting to experience and like storytelling and whatnot. But at the same time, it's also completely maddening because we've been streaming this for 3 years at you guys. Like, I haven't really had a problem with it because I never played a ton of PvP until a couple years ago when I started playing with Johnny and Phil and those guys. And now it's like, okay, yeah, I'm tired of seeing these maps, but like the balance is out of whack. Like, I keep wondering what Destiny could look like if you didn't have to balance it both for PvP and PvE. You could
Hmm.
completely nuts with the power fantasy for PvE, but you could have it more dialed back for PvP. And as it stands now, if you were to do that, that would fuck with people's builds so badly. And
Yeah.
I think that's the tricky line that Destiny has to kind of walk, and like why probably going to like heroes or something like that would probably be the better move ultimately. Like an Apex Legends
Yeah.
would
Hmm.
probably be the
Yeah.
better move.
Yeah.
But
And like, I actually think like, and I know they're kind of different games and
mhm.
whatnot, but I actually think that benefited a game like Outriders last year of
Yeah,
not,
yeah,
I mean, not having a PvP because then they just made you feel super powerful within hours of playing that game, you know? And, uh, I mean, not that that's like the same type of game or the same quality as Destiny, but still, they did a
I
good job
agree.
of making
I
you
agree.
feel powerful, you know?
Yeah,
So, yeah, I actually think the hero PvP route is kind of the way to go now because I don't know, I like you said, Apex feels great. I think, you know, when Overwatch came out, it like the hero system was really unique and interesting. You know, building off that Team Fortress 2 stuff, and I think Destiny is like the NPCs in that game are kind of built for that at this point.
yeah. There's a lot that Bungie needs to sit down and take a look at this point. Um, so I don't think we quite answered Tiger Jesus's question, and that's fine. That was like a bigger
Mm.
discussion that I was wanting to have anyways.
Yeah.
Um, with the Deepstone Crypt news today, let's move to the other one that we need to talk about.
Oh
Oh
no.
man,
Oh
Lightfall
no.
crafting. Um,
Oh no.
it's no secret how I feel about weapon crafting at this point. I think they really have missed the mark on this. It's only gotten worse.
Yeah,
Hunting red
it's
borders has been a gigantic pain. So let's start with some of the pain points that we want to address. Deep sight weapons are far too common, which leads to confusion over their value and vault stress. Where
what
are they too common? So okay,
too common.
so too common for me means that the ones you can't craft or like the world drops that are craftable are too common because I get red borders of weapons I cannot craft every goddamn play session. I'm getting crucible guns I can't craft. I'm getting uh weapons from Deepstone that can't be craftable. I'm getting red borders in strikes. I'm getting them in Gambit. Like from that perspective, I understand it, but I think that is such a bullshit statement to say when so many of us have. They had to nerf two of the seasonal challenges because of this. That wanted us to level 3 weapons to level 10 and 2 to level 20 from this season because we're having such a hard time getting these. Like, if they weren't that hard to get, you wouldn't be giving us like 3 catch up perks every season to get more frames.
I don't like this.
Nope, nope.
My
So
head
we're already
hurts now.
starting out bad. We're already starting out bad, and like I get what they're saying here, but okay. Deep sight weapons must be equipped or full current for full currency extraction, causing friction with loadouts. They've already addressed that. You don't even have to have them equipped anymore. Da, 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 da. Farming an encounter like Shirochi is very efficient method for leveling. Hate to break it to you, that's been a problem with the game since Shirochi was introduced. That's where we've gone for 4, almost 5 years now to
Yep.
do our exotic catalysts.
Hmm.
As mentioned in Sandbox Q&A, crafted base raid weapons outclass adept raid weapons. Yes, they do. To address these points, the team is actively working on changes coming with Lightfall. While these changes are being developed, tested, and finalized, we want to share our list of goals and strategies behind them. Goal: reduce deep sight weapon hoarding. Strategy: introduce alternate ways to earn deep sight currencies. I don't know what that looks like, but I'm a little afraid. Goal: reduce bad luck and weapon recipe unlocking. That's honestly the worst one for me. Strategy: provide opportunities within the crafting system to allow users to deterministically choose what weapon to target. Again, don't know what that looks like. No, I have no idea what that looks like. Goal: reduce loadout stress. Strategy: reduce player incentives to equip a suboptimal deep sight or crafted weapon. We've addressed half of that already. But suboptimal crafted weapon, goddamn. Like maybe just like let bounties like maybe go towards this or something. I don't know.
Right.
I can't believe I'm saying this. Make gunsmith bounties go towards this. You don't even have to change anything. Just make gunsmith bounties go towards these. Goal: improve the value of weapons rewarded from master raid content, and of course we know that Lightfall raid adept weapons will have enhanced perks, and it will not be full freeform crafting. So this is
Okay,
like
gosh.
this is like a half step. I feel this does not address the bigger pain point of like until you tell me what reduced bad luck and weapon recipe unlocking looks like, this doesn't fix my personal primary concern with this system. It's still very, very bad. It's not good, and I'm not happy about it. I think this is
Yeah,
bad. I need to know what
it's
this
it's
like.
bad.
Do you let Banshee sell some red borders each week, and you can buy one of each from him each week or something? Like that would
I
be a
mean,
way
what
to
if he?
do it.
I mean, what if he had like a weekend stash like Zur does, sells exotics, right?
Where's well,
What,
no,
you know what
I
I
want it
mean?
to be
Like,
for the full week because I want to know like make it like you did Arms Day in Destiny 1. What's the
oh
problem
yeah,
with
what
that?
on what Wednesdays, right? That was the
Yeah,
day they were
you
like,
had a full week to level these weapons up and you didn't have to do anything to level them. You had to go walk around a patrol zone for a half an hour maybe. You didn't have to take it into end game content or anything. Like let me do something like that, like to get a guaranteed red border, or like when I get a red border, if I start leveling it up, like I can level it up to like 5 levels, and if I do that and take it apart, then I get that much progress on unlocking the pattern. I don't know, like something needs to happen here though, and I'm getting really tired of having to have this discussion like every other week it seems.
every other
Because
week. Sometimes it's every week.
dude, sometimes it is every week. This is like
It's
genuinely the
only
big
every other week this time because you missed last week.
this is the biggest like pain in the dick in the game right now for me. Like other than other than unbalanced PvP and the fact that Gambit doesn't exist anymore, this is a top 3 problem in the game.
Yeah,
This is a top 3 problem in this game,
it's getting there. It's bad.
and I appreciate that they've taken steps to try and improve it. I fully expect a crafting 2.0 to be announced for Lightfall, and I think that's part of why they're getting some of this announced now. Why else would you tell us this like 4 months out?
Yeah,
Like you're clearly prepping something and you're wanting to like feel out how we feel about these changes before you go down a point of no return.
yeah.
In the near term, we want to give players a heads up. Starting in Lightfall, weapons that cannot be crafted will no longer drop with Deep Sight. Thank fucking God! There goes one of my pain points. This will help us achieve our goal of reducing deep sight weapon hoarding and help alleviate some stress on your vaults. Players who currently have these weapons in their inventory should complete their deep sight objectives and extract their resonant elements before February 28th to avoid the loss of elements. You did something. You did. Our expectations were low, but holy shit. That's about. I feel like that meme right now. This
The
is just.
which one?
Not.
The Leonardo DiCaprio clapping one? The slow clap?
No, I'm gonna have to send you one. It's just this guy holding up a sign. It's like our expectations were low, but holy fuck. That's about how I feel right now with this. Like, okay, well, you have some goals, and I agree with your goals. I agree with the 4 goals listed out here. Totally agree with them. And you're addressing a 5th pain point that I think a lot of us have, which is that weapons that drop, like, I can't tell you how many red border funnel webs I've gotten. And you can't craft funnel webs, so quit giving me red borders of it. I already expressed how mad I am about playlist weapons being dropped as red borders. Like, just stop. We don't want it.
Right.
Unless I can actually craft it. Like it, nothing feels stupider than getting a Trials of Osiris weapon that's a red border.
Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
That's pretty dumb. There needs to be a knockout system for things that I've already crafted. Like, hey, and I've said that before too. Like, hey, once I craft something, stop giving me red borders of it. I clearly don't need them anymore. I clearly don't. Like, just stop. Stop giving them to me. Like when I'm trying to go after a seasonal objective of getting all the patterns, once I've gotten all of those, I should not be like I should not continue getting the sidearm this season. I have been keeping a running tally. I have gotten over a dozen red bordered sidearms this season.
What?
Yes. That is the one I keep getting above all else. And let me tell you something. I crafted this sucker about 6 weeks ago.
That's insane.
And I keep getting red borders. I can't get them to drop for other weapons, but I can get them to drop for that still.
Of
I can get them
course
to drop for
not.
that
Why
piece
would
of
you?
shit submachine gun.
Why would you want other weapons, Josh?
Man, I don't know. I was like, God, is Bungie like trying to tell me something? Like, damn, I know this is like an OP gun, but and I probably wouldn't have crafted one. I had a god roll from my first second. I had the Volt Shot. Well, I had Volt Shot Feeding Frenzy. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty good with not getting any more rolls on this. Then I went and crafted it because, well, I want the enhanced version of those perks.
Right.
Anything else on craft? I'm sure we'll be back talking about crafting in like another week or two.
No, it just look when the Witch Queen was announced, right, and we were kind of like excited, but also I remember talking about how like this could be really good or really bad for the game, right?
Yeah,
And it still feels like it's leaning kind of
I
like
don't think it's
this way.
been good or bad.
I think yeah, I haven't really engaged with it a lot just because like I don't the red border thing is just dumb.
Yeah,
I think there's got to be a better way than just getting red borders, right? There's got to be a better way, you know.
yeah. There, there
That's
there's got there's got to be something.
I don't have the answer, but there's got to be a different way to do this because the red border system and just getting duplicates. I mean, the fact that you got that many red
Yeah,
border like red border sidearms is ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's I don't know. It's dumb, and I'm yeah. So that's I don't have anything else to say because I'm just gonna get mad.
yep. Okay. Let's talk Stadia and Destiny 2.
Stadia.
We don't have a long-term plan. We have a short one. At this time, all players who have their main characters on Stadia should set up cross-save within our platform so they don't lose access to their characters on January 18th. Stadia players who enable cross-save will be able to use their characters on linked platforms after Stadia shuts down. If you do not set up cross-save by January 18th, you will lose access to characters, items, emblems, Bungie.net accounts, and Eververse purchases, such as access to season passes. After January 18th, players with Stadia as their active characters should not deactivate cross-save for any reason. Doing so will result in a complete loss of character. So I do know that we have at least one guardian who listens to the show who uses Stadia as their primary platform. Do this if you have not done it, but
Mm,
especially follow that last little sentence there. Do
yeah,
not deactivate cross save for any reasons. Um I have it as an alternate mode on mine, and I'm a little afraid to deactivate it myself.
yeah. I mean, if you have Stadia activated at all on your account,
Yeah,
I would advise not doing anything with it until Bungie deactivates it themselves.
yeah. Bungie
That
is
would
going to
be
have to
my
go in and probably extract it from the back end.
yeah
So good luck.
yeah
Um, Bungie bounties. Bungie bounties are coming back. Cool. These have been a thing that have been around for years and years and years. Um,
yeah
I'm not even going to bother getting into a Bungie bounty because so few of us will ever get a chance to even be able to get them. Like all the time frames are a little wonky here, between 5
mhm,
a.m. Pacific and 7 p.m. Pacific, for the most part. And only one of them is after 7 p.m. or later. All the others are like in the middle of the day, which is really bizarre. I don't understand that at all. And they're all on weekdays. This is weird. I've never been a fan of Bungie Bounty, and it's getting worse. I think that's
good.
it for the TWAB.
Yeah, I mean that 12 wasn't too bad.
That wasn't too bad.
Right.
It did lead me into a long-winded rant, but yeah. Oh, hey, that's why I was coherent. Damage wrote it this week. Um,
Ouch.
I'm trying to figure out where I want to. Where do I want to take this next? I'm very frustrated. The Mavs game just went to overtime, and I'm not happy about it.
Mm. Speaking of sports, the Cavs are good.
I don't.
Spoilers.
I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about good teams.
Without one of our 4 All-Stars.
I don't want to talk about it. Mavs shitted away 2 games they shouldn't have lost. Let's do listener questions first.
Yeah, let's
Let's
do
do
that.
questions first before we dive into lore corner.
Yeah.
Zao Ambrosia writes in and goes, "What would be a new mask you'd want for next year's Festival of the Lost?"
Space Grandma.
How have we not gotten a Space Grandma mask? I mean,
I know.
honestly.
I know.
I feel like they'll do that like the final year that they do the masks. They'll give us a
Yeah.
grandma mask.
Yeah.
I'd like a grandma one. We got a cell shaded Titan one a couple years ago. Where are my cell? Did we ever get a Cade mask? Where's my Cade 6? Where's my Cade 6 mask?
I think I've now I gotta look it up because I think we did, but I don't think we got one in Destiny 2.
We definitely had one in Destiny 1. I think we maybe
Um,
have like just a generic EXO one.
maybe. Let's see here.
Um,
No, we we have not.
I mean, I feel like Cade and the Witness are like 2 like layups here.
Yeah,
I'd really like
I bet a Cade mask comes on like an anniversary of his death, like a 5th
maybe.
anniversary or something.
Yeah, next year will be the 5th anniversary, so maybe we get it next year. The Witness, I would like that one next year, but I feel like that won't be in until after the final shape is out, so that nobody is wearing it in like the cutscene of his death, so we don't have
Yeah,
another Aldrin moment.
right. Mm,
But that would be about it. Like, I wanna see what they have next year. A Rolk mask would be nice.
yeah.
I would take a Rolk mask. Really
What?
can't believe that wasn't in here.
Wait, we got a what's her face?
Keitel.
Title mask this year, right?
We got a bread one too, which I was very happy about.
Yeah, that's funny.
And then Zhao also writes in. God, Zhao's got a couple of questions. Since I asked about fries last time, I gotta do your top 5 burgers.
Top 5 burgers. Oh man. Speaking of burgers, Josh, you know what I'm going to be eating in 9 days, don't you? 9 days.
Oh, you're going to the Earl.
Yeah, I am.
I was trying
Full
to figure out.
review.
I was like, there's like not a burger. What are you talking about?
No, I wasn't talking about burgers.
Oh,
Dude, I'll take an
oh.
Earl sandwich over a burger any day. I'm going to be honest with you.
Earl sandwich.
Um,
One of our earliest listeners.
yeah. Yeah, they follow us.
They still follow us
I know.
somehow.
I know. They liked one of my tweets the other day. It wasn't even about Earl's sandwich either. It was cool. I felt special. Full review of a few Earl of sandwiches, Josh, coming to the Tower Casuals YouTube channel. Coming soon.
All right. All right. All right, Corey. Do you have 5 burgers for me?
Man, so I enjoy. You know what I do enjoy, Josh, is a good junior bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's.
I see. I was debating if I was going to go with the junior double stack or if I was going to go with the Dave's double.
Hmm. I mean, the
Because
Dave's double is a classic.
as far
You
as
know?
like a fast food burger goes, like something I can just like sit in a drive-through and get, a Wendy's
Yeah,
burger is pretty up there for me.
yeah. Um, the restaurant I used to work at had a burger called the Texas Burger.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good. It was chipotle mayonnaise with onion ring on it and some jalapenos and crispy bacon. I'm always a fan of that. Um, man, top 5 burgers. What do
I'll
you
go ahead and throw
even
some.
have
I'll throw
5
some of mine
burgers?
out there. I'll throw
Do you
some
even
of
have
mine out
5
there.
burgers?
I'm gonna go with the double stack from Wendy's. I'm not even gonna say the burger. I'm just gonna say the chain. Make this quicker. So I'm gonna go Wendy's. I'm gonna go Five Guys. As
I've never had
insanely
Five
overpriced
Bison.
as it is, I had Five Guys for the first time in like a year and a half over the weekend, and it was magical. But I was like, this is not worth like $12.
Hmm.
When I can go get something that tastes like pretty damn good from Wendy's and get a whole ass meal for less than that.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I mean, I'm from Texas, so I like Whataburger a lot. But specifically the Whataburger breakfast burger. I want to make that abundantly clear to anybody listening to this. I do not
Oh
like
man,
regular
I do
Whataburger
love a.
burgers,
Mm,
but that breakfast
I do
burger,
love a good breakfast burger.
man, that is the stuff of kings. If you've not heard my talk about the Whataburger breakfast burger, it is a burger with a fried egg with two types of cheese on it and with creamy pepper sauce and hash browns. And it is just, I'm sure I'm going to die an early death from eating these, but it's okay because it's worth it. I'm gonna say In and Out. If you get a double double from In and Out, cool. Um, my fifth one. God, this is really hard
Yeah,
because I'm not
that's what
gonna
I'm
say like
saying.
McDonald's. Brahms is so ridiculously hit and miss. I can't say them. Um,
Hmm. Man, I
Shake
hmm,
Shack. That's what I'm gonna go with Shake Shack.
hmm.
I like
Shake
Shake
Shack,
Shack a
huh?
lot.
Hmm.
Shake Shack is good, but it's also like ridiculously pricey.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, I think my five. Okay, so I really like the queso burger from Chili's,
Is that a
where they
thing?
yeah, it's where they shove a bunch of like quesadilla toppings on a burger.
I was unaware of this. Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I really enjoy that. I really enjoy that. I enjoy the California burger at Red Robin.
Oh, I do like Red Robin. I like to
Dude, their
get
fries
the
though.
tavern. I like to get the tavern double there.
Yeah,
Big
that's also
fan.
very big fan. Junior bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's. I do enjoy that. I will have to say the Texas burger from where I used to work is a fan favorite. And there was another burger at Chili's that I really like too. Um
The old timer.
yeah, the old timer. Uh uh they used to have like this breakfast burger at Chili's too, but it wasn't like breakfast, but
Yeah.
yeah, the old timer is just like a plain burger, which is hilarious. Um and then I also like the that Santa Fe burger at Chili's is also pretty good. So I would say those are my top five. Here's the thing: I've never been to In and Out. I've never been to Five Guys,
You've never been the
and
Five Guys,
and there's one like 3 seconds from here. Like I could,
Corey. Well, okay, you basically have to go into debt getting Five Guys, so like it's insanely expensive.
yeah. I mean that's
And
fair, but
it's good, but it's not that good, you know.
yeah,
It was fine, and they've raised the price by like $4 since I was in there last, and it was already expensive. Does
yeah.
that do it? Does that do it for burgers? Can I move on to the next
I
question?
think so. Let's go to the next question. Yeah,
Let's
I
go to
think
the
we
next
would go with
question.
Nate five.
Let's go to the next question. We already answered Tiger Jesus's. Z9 Pillbug writes in and asks if you could have
Ooh,
either an interceptor or a pike in game to summon instead of a sparrow, which would you rather have? It's a pike.
was that
It's a
interceptor that
pike.
big tank that was in
Yeah,
Destiny One for a while?
it's the little Cabal tank. It's the thing that you shoot the scions out of in what you call it, proving
Oh,
grounds.
right. Okay,
That's the
yeah.
interceptor.
Yeah, no, Pike. Come on.
Pike. And if you could have one in real life instead of a car, which would it be? It would 100% be my Jotun Sparrow. It
Um,
would be my Jotun Sparrow, straight up.
I mean, I do have the Polar Express train sparrow from
Oh my
last
god, I
winter.
hate you so much.
I love it so much, except it's so bulky that like it just runs into things because it doesn't turn well.
Hmm.
Um, so I've been driving the go-kart sparrow, the go-kart tiny sparrow. I
I've
really
been
like
driving
that.
that lately too.
I really like that sparrow. I think that's the one I'm going to choose.
All right. T7 Fox Warrior goes, seeing as how we're preparing a fleet of combined forces, Fallen, Cabal, and the Guardians, we now have a catch added to our arsenal on top of ships like the Helm. Why don't we add former Cabal ships from the Red War that are currently located on Earth, such as the Ouroboros Vectura? So I have a fun proposition here. I think that actually will join the fleet.
Mm-hmm.
If and when we have to evacuate Earth, I think that it would be poetic if Hawthorne commanded the ship and flew it in. That would be partially hilarious to me. That is just chilling there, and like for anybody saying like, "Oh, Josh, what about the strike?" The strike still exists. It exists in that point in time because Cade still narrates it. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine.
It's
Bring it
all
on.
fine.
I want to have that ship. I did not even think about this until you wrote in, Fox. I
It's a
really
good
like
theory.
this.
I like it.
I like this.
I like
Can
it.
that be my flagship? Like I'm asking for a friend. Would you
Yeah,
rather
sure.
have the Helm, the pirate catch from this season, or Brachus Zahn's rotting corpse on your flagship
Oh man,
as
that's
your flagship? I'm going with the Brachus Zahn one. Did you see how many fucking tanks are in that loading bay?
Yeah, man.
I'm going with the Ouroboros Vectura if I get a tank to myself.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's take it. We're taking that to
I
the
want to
witness.
be able to drive one of those stupid Cabal tanks. That's what I want.
What if Space Grandma just drove it in?
Dude, if Space Grandma drove in and had like a Rambo style like headband and bandolier on, that would be like the greatest scene in the entire series.
The scarf that's around her neck, she just ties it around her head instead.
Oh my, she's got like fucking war paint on.
Yeah.
Oh my god, like we have to evacuate the city and we're like, oh no, grandma died again. And we come
These
back
are
and
the
she's like leading the resistance.
these are the shaders you didn't buy for me in Destiny 1.
Yeah.
My war paint now.
Oh my god. She's got like emblems plastered on her.
Yeah, tattoos. Her arms are like the
She's
emblems you
got
wear are
fucking
just her
she's got
tattoos.
fucking tattoos all over her. Would you Bastion writes in and asks, would you rather have 100 more vault spaces or 100 new weapons?
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna go 100 new weapons. And now here's the wild thing: you may be going, Josh, that's gonna overload your vault. That's gonna make you delete things. Good, because
Yeah.
y'all keep insisting that this is a loot based game. Y'all ever
Yeah.
played Borderlands? You don't have this much space to save stuff in Borderlands.
Yeah.
Or in Outriders or anything like that. Like, bring it on, man. Give me 100 guns. I want to see the absolute meltdown from streamers on camera over this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I
I
would
would
rather
live
have
for
100 more
that.
guns too. Just because, like, dude, no offense, but I've been using some of these guns for like, I don't know,
Like
3
8 years.
years. Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, exotics, yeah, 8 years. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Hardlight, but that was my first exotic in Destiny 1. So, I mean, I don't I would like something new, you know? So,
I agree.
although I will just keep Outbreak Perfected on forever as long as it's good. So,
God, Outbreak
what
Perfected
do
is
I know?
so good. It's so
God, it's
good.
so good. You know what other gun I started using a lot now, by the way, is Dead Man's Tale. I knew it was good, but I finally
I
finished
love
the
Dead
Catalyst,
Man's.
and I'm
Yeah.
just like, it's a
Big
good one.
fan. Big fan of Dead Man's over here.
Big fan.
Zhao had another question, which I missed earlier. In the universe of Destiny, what do you think is their equivalent of major sports? We know soccer would be one since it was on the farm, but how about others? Totally could see Titans playing football. I think the Titans play rugby more than anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think you got to have something that's more universal than football. I mean, the NFL is huge.
I mean, they watch Sparrow Racing League.
Yeah.
Then we know that they have like big ass screens to watch that and like the Guardian games and stuff. I mean, we need to find the bookie and ask him.
Yeah. Bookie, what sports did Guardians play before everything just fell
I
apart?
definitely imagine the hunters like playing drinking games.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like
Zavala probably does like pro bass fishing.
Oh God.
And then
That's just funny to just watching him wade out into the water and do some fly fishing with
dude,
some
I
waders on.
really hope he has like the big like waders on.
Yeah.
Our final
That's
question
actually
tonight.
just what's under his armor. just the waders, and
Oh
then he
my
puts his armor back
god.
on.
Our final question tonight, and this is one that I think is going to take a little bit of a longer answer. Joasis wrote in. There was a discussion going on this in Discord today, and I deliberately stayed away from it because I kind of wanted to share my own thoughts on this. Question for tonight's show: how much of the Twitter complaining about the game do you guys find valid compared to whiny people just complaining to complain? Oh man. Okay, strap in, everyone.
Can I say one thing because I
Yes,
know
you
you're
can
about
say
to go
one
off on
thing. Go
a
ahead.
rant.
Yes.
I think some of the things that people on Twitter complain about are valid, but the
Yes.
way they complain about it hurts my brain. That's
Yeah.
all I have to say. You can continue.
I
You
mean
can
that
go on your rant now.
no, that's pretty much where I am on this too. I think that it's really silly that every little thing gets complained about and gets over scrutinized. I
Yeah.
understand being upset about certain things like the state of PvP. We should be upset about that. Crafting, we should be upset about that. Um Outlying weapons that are like super strong in a certain mode, I can understand being upset about that. But I think that like today you had people complaining just to complain about the Bungie bounty. And that's an example of something like, okay, this is absurd. Y'all are upset because you're already extremely slim chance to win this emblem and you can't get it. Like, there are people legitimately having meltdowns over the fact they may not be able to earn this emblem. And I'm like, guys, it's a couple pixels in a video game. You're going to be okay. I promise you. I promise you will be okay.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. I don't understand this team. I don't understand this fan base at times because it's just maddening to sit there and watch. Like, for every valid complaint that we have other complaints. Like, the same people who were upset about teammates leaving at the beginning of the season are now upset that they themselves cannot leave. And it's like, oh, so you were doing this, but you're complaining anyways. Um, Things like that really frustrate me to see. I think complaining about, like, again, every little thing is just there are a lot of people who complain just to complain. And
Hmm.
I'll tell you something that may help me find my peace with the community, with the larger community of the game. Not obviously, our community that we have, but the larger community was just that there's so much complaining. And I eventually just started muting a lot of Destiny terms. I unfollowed most of the content creators that I follow, outside of, like, I follow maybe a dozen of them that I think, like, largely have not good vibes, but like have constructive criticism to the game. And it's not just complaining to complain. Like, it's a bunch of people. A lot of the accounts I see complaining the most are people who have like 100, 200 followers and have like their age in their profile. Like, they're somewhere between the age of like 18 and 22, so they haven't really grown up yet. And they want to go, oh, fuck Bungie for this. Oh, Bungie, I can't believe you did this. Like, oh, make a competent game, you idiots. Like, man, you kids really don't remember like Bungie's glory days, do you? You really, like, you are too young. If you're 18 and complaining about this game, you're too young to remember Destiny 1 and the
Right.
really rough patch. You're almost too young probably to remember how D2 was at launch. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, I think you have to consider the source a lot of the time, and it's completely maddening. I don't get the ridiculous amount of complaining that there has been from parts of this community. I stopped going to Destiny the game on Reddit, and instantly, like, I was happier playing the game. Also, like, a lot of these people don't seem to understand that there are other games in the universe that you can play. Like, this is the point in time in the season where a lot of people start taking breaks,
Yep.
where we're all like kind of fanning off the player things. I mean, I'm going to get off here tonight and I'm going to eat dinner and I'm going to play some Modern Warfare 2 because it unlocked tonight. I'm going to play Modern
Hmm.
Warfare 2 tonight. Cool. I'm going to
I'm
play a
gonna
lot of Call of Duty
go.
for the next month.
I mean, I've been playing Near Automata, and it's a nice change of pace. Let me
Yeah,
tell you.
like, I've been playing. I'm gonna play COD. I played through the campaign last weekend. I look forward to playing some multiplayer. God of War comes out in about 2.5 weeks. I look forward to playing that. Um, what else is coming out soon? Pokemon is coming out. Callisto Protocol, High on Life, Pentiment. Um, Crisis Core is coming out. I think Midnight Suns is still coming out, question mark. Like,
December. It's supposed to.
yeah, we'll see if it still happens.
Supposedly.
There's a lot of stuff out though that's like worth playing. Like, hey, fan out and play other things. Like next season, I plan on taking it really casually. Like, I enjoyed doing the story beats this season. I feel like they could have been done in about half the time, and we could have done a lot more here. But it was nice to have a season that didn't take itself like super seriously. I didn't have to grind out like story missions every week. I didn't have to go do that dumbass public event. I actually enjoyed. I would
Right.
have enjoyed Catch Crash more if there were more maps for it. But I get why you don't put a ton of effort into that. I totally get it. The expeditions were fun until I realized I had to like sabotage my teammates constantly to earn the seal. And I don't know. I think that this is one of those things that's indicative of if you're feeling really frustrated with the larger community for the game. I would say just remember who you interact with on Twitter and on Reddit and stuff. That does not represent the entire player base. That represents maybe like 15 to 20% of it. I
Yeah.
know a lot of us are just like silently enjoying the game. And like
Yeah.
just because we're not running around outraged doesn't mean that we're not frustrated with how certain things are in the game, as you've been able to hear in our voices tonight. There's legitimate concerns with the game. And I
Hmm.
don't have all the solutions, but I don't think that the people complaining have them either. I think
Yeah.
so few of them do. Like I saw several PvP streamers are very excited. There's some new game coming out, and they're like, "Oh, they're promising no skill based matchmaking. It's like it's all competitive." And I'm like, I don't know how you plan on doing that, but okay, have fun. Like,
Yeah.
cool.
I've good.
GG's,
Good
man.
for
GG's.
you.
Yeah, yeah. You do you, man. Like, cool. But if you've come in and you're mad because this game is not offering a true competitive experience, I want to know what Destiny you've been playing for 4 years. Well, not
Right.
4 years. I want to know what Destiny you've been playing since Destiny 1. Because it's never been
Right.
like Trials was essentially comp in D1, and that became unplayable by Rise of Iron. I and I don't play on PC, so I can't really speak to this. I've seen a lot of complaints about like cheating, and there's always videos of cheaters floating around and stuff. And like, yeah, it's pretty clear that Bungie needs to like improve their cheat detection software. Like, they need to do something else with it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like you need to make a verified account or something. I don't know how you do any of that. Like,
Yeah.
I've long been a proponent that if you get like banned in a game like that for griefing or for cheating, it should just ban your it. Honestly, it should ban your gamer tag or your PSN name or your Steam ID. Like,
Yeah.
you should be banned from playing online. Period. At that point, like because you chose to
Right.
cheat in a video game and it really isn't that serious, but you are impacting business. Like, I don't know. Maybe that's too extreme, but like
No,
I
I
say
agree
all
with
that
you.
to I say all that to say that the complaining around the game has just gotten to an absolutely mind-boggling degree lately, and there needs to be something that happens. We need to see something change.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that is, but this is a community that up until probably like the last year or so, I was like, man, this is a really like solid community. And I think just the issues of PvP have exacerbated things. Obviously, there's a perception, and I don't think it's necessarily entirely wrong. Regardless of the explanation that we get, there's a perception that streamers and content creators directly impact the direction of the game. Um, and I think that more of those content creators need to take their own advice and understand that, when they say, oh, they're never going to balance the game around me. No, they're not. And you guys, like, we need you to actually accept it instead of just saying it. Like, you need to make sure that your viewers understand, like, they're going to do what's best for the overall health of the game. And right now, what's best for the overall health of the game is fixing PvP. That'll
Yeah.
get most of the people complaining off your back. But that's going to require a lot of time. Look how long it took to fix PvE.
Right.
You know, we had basically 3 seasons that were washed trying to do that. We've had a lot more time than that to fix PvP, and I don't know what you do. I think you need to put that PvP game on hold until you can get this into a healthy place. You know, but I digress. My thing, I just would go through and like if I see people mindlessly complaining about things, I'm just like mute, 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 because it's made my Twitter experience a lot healthier. And I think like just not interacting with Destiny Twitter a lot. There was a good comparison that the Destiny community is starting to turn out like comic book communities or like the Star Wars community did. And I think the Star Wars community one is like really, really good actually. And that's a great comparison. That was a community that always had problems with gatekeeping,
Yeah.
even before the prequels, and it really ratcheted up between the prequels and the sequel trilogy in that time frame. And now, I mean, you look at it, and now it's completely like I Star Wars is my favorite franchise ever, and I can't interact with anything online anymore. I'm in two Discords that are super tame and
Right.
super respectful. Like I don't go on Twitter, I don't go on Reddit and discuss those things anymore because it's just not worth doing for my own like mental health.
Right.
And that would be my advice here. Like just yeah, there's always going to be people in a community to complain about absolutely everything. This is one of those communities that is not immune to that. So there are some valid complaints, and I would say like if it's about the way like the game works, like it's probably a valid complaint. But there are other complaints that's just like this is totally unfounded. So
Hmm.
anything else to add, Corey?
Nope. Nothing. That we
All
haven't
right,
already said.
we're gonna read one. We're gonna read a quick lore corner, and then we're gonna get because this episode has gone really long. At least I feel like it's going really long. It is from Between Stolen Stars, number 8. Here always, it's the final piece of the puzzle that we have here in this book of the
Yeah.
season. The console went dark. The message had ended. Eramis knew there would not be another. Come home, Eramis. Eramis closed her eyes. The words settled into the Kel's thoughts. They were heavy, sharp. She felt herself bleed with them. She had begged for death in the moment that Mithrax's blades were at her throat, and his mercy was a deeper wound than any. If it was reopened now by the kindness of a child. Aramis remembered her home. Her home was Reese, devastated by the great machine. Her home was Aetheris, her mate, sleeping in a ship long since departed from this system. Her home was her hatchlings at her mate's side. Aramis remembered watching them grow and molt, how they had chittered their delight and looked to her with their wide, luminous eyes. She would give her house to see those eyes again. But the brightness she had seen in Ido's eyes was a wide, blinding terror, not only of the hive, of her. Come home, Aramis. Aramis lived. She lived, and she knew what the Elixni had lost. The dream of New Reese was delicate and beautiful. Aramis had held it in her hands close to her chest for so long. She knew now that she had smothered it. In all her violence, in all the death that followed her, she had curled her hands into fists. The dream of a new Reese would have died with Ido if she had been left to the hive in their putrid light. But Ido did not know Reese, and neither did her father. They could look beyond that loss. Aramis, come home. Aramis knew she would never see anything but terror in another eyes. Aramis knew that the Elixni would find a new home with Ido. Aramis knew there was no place for her in it. This is a really sobering look at one of the villains in the series because it really kind of changes the way that you see Beyond Light, I think, when you read this. And
Yeah.
it kind of changes the way you see the season. Like, yes, she was woken up by the witness and sent to go find these artifacts and things like that. And I do think that she was used. I do think that the witness probably meant for us to find these artifacts and do something with them. I suspect that that's part of his game. Um, but this kind of Aramis is, yeah, she's a bad person. She's a totally bad person,
Oh
you
yeah.
know. But she did everything she did with good intentions. It's not like Oryx and Crota who just came in and like murdered half the galaxy. And I think that's one of the things that Destiny's done really well is nuanced antagonists. You know, you
Hmm.
look at Keitel when Keitel was introduced to the story, was an antagonist and then became, a reluctant ally and then a full-fledged ally by the events of the Witch Queen. You know,
Right.
you look
Yeah.
at Spider, who was an antagonist, towards Crow, and now is seemingly helping rebuild the Elixni. Kind of helping lead them with Mithrax, and we'll see how long that alliance lasts. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. Mm.
you see
Well.
Savathun, everything that she did. Yeah, she's totally evil, but she did it to try and protect the Traveler. She's convinced that she's the only one who can protect the Traveler. And if that means she has to wipe out humanity to do it, she's got to do it. She doesn't even care about wiping out humanity. If she has to kill us to get to the Traveler, she will. And those are all things that I think we have to keep in mind is like Destiny has gone from, oh, murderous bad guys to, let's think about this. Even Gaul came with the intention of taking the Traveler, and yeah, that meant extinguishing us because he only did that because he felt we were unworthy. He thought we were unworthy to wield the power of the light and that he should be the one wielding it. You look
Yeah.
at Callus, how Callus kept trying to raise us up. And we're like, oh, well, maybe he's not too bad. And then we find out, oh, no, he's actually a psychopath. And disappears and comes back as a disciple. They're not fully, well, Callus is probably fully evil, but like Keitel and Eramis, like I think there's still a piece of Eramis's puzzle to come into place. And I don't know. I've believed for a while that I thought that Eramis would be an antagonist in this story, that she would become like an Elixni disciple or something.
Yeah.
I think that if you don't do a dungeon on Europa, maybe even as early as next season, she's no longer an antagonist. I think she comes back and reluctantly allies herself with us. Basically,
Yeah.
like the enemy of my enemy is similar to how we kind of feel
Yeah.
like Savathun or Xivu Arath may do eventually. Like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and then we can all get back to killing each other later.
Yeah.
For right now, we got to get this thing done. She's never
Yeah.
going to be firmly in the camp like Mithrax and Keitel are with us.
Yeah.
But I think there's still a part for Eramis to play, even if it means that she ends up sacrificing herself. I could see her sacrificing herself to save the Elixni Quarter. To save, begrudgingly, to save Mithrax and Ida.
Yeah.
But I also feel like that may be part of what Spider has left. I would also not be shocked at the same time if we end up having to kill her in a dungeon. But I think that I think fighting her is probably past after you read this. Like she has regret. She has regret for a lot of things she's done, and I think that's the first step, similar to Mithrax. That's the first step, is
Hmm.
having regret.
Yeah.
And like they have this dream because they've never been there and they want to create a new home. She's one of the very few alive that still remembers Reese. Like she is basically like a great grandmother at this point in terms of like Elixni age. So I could see her going out in a blaze of glory, like
Hmm.
ramming her catch into one of the pyramids or something. Like, maybe like evacuation of Earth is happening, and when you think all is lost, suddenly she shows up. Like you've got
Yeah.
Warsats raining down, and then she like rams. She sends like her catches or her ships on like suicide runs to blow up the Witness's fleet to give us time to evacuate the Elixni Quarter or something. Like there are a lot of things that
Right.
can happen here, and I think the only thing that goes forward from here is you have two options: either you kill her or you redeem her through a death. Those are your two options.
Yeah. I feel like you got to redeem her through a death at this point.
Yeah, and that's not a bad
I
thing. Like it's cliche, but I don't think it's a bad thing.
Yeah, because I feel like we have our Elixni allies already in Mithrax and probably Spider and Ido, that like, are you
Mm-hmm.
really gonna add like a fourth one?
I
Unless
don't think
I'm
there's anything wrong with adding a fourth one, but I do think that like she's gonna die, just straight
yeah,
up.
yeah. I mean, my initial thought would be like, I almost thought maybe like you could redeem her by her for maybe Mithrax sacrificing himself to save her, and then she would become like good to and like help raise Ido the rest of the way or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, or teach her or whatever. Like that was something I thought about too. Uh, but I don't know. I think she's got to go, but like in a redeeming way this time. You know, just because like the other way is too much like Savathun and previous things. You don't want to do the same thing too many times.
No,
We had
no,
that.
and
We had
I
that
think you have to
conversation
make a
already.
choice here. Are you gonna do it with her, or are you gonna do it with Savathun? Like Savathun has already been resurrected by a ghost. Why would we do it again with Eramis?
Yeah.
If any of our former enemies turned allies deserve to have a friendly ghost res them, it's Keitel at this point. Keitel,
Yeah.
I think Keitel has more than earned it. Eramis hasn't quite put in the legwork yet, and like we all have obviously Mithrax pegged as the one who's going to be the one resurrected.
Yeah.
And I'm still holding to that. I still think that happens.
Yeah.
But all right,
Yeah.
I think that's going to
Well,
do it. Corey, get us out of here.
yep. All right. Yep. Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of Tower Casuals. Follow us on Twitter at Tower Casuals. Join our Discord. Oh, Josh, do you want to pick a winner of
Oh,
the
I do need to pick a winner. Yes, let me pull up the names again. Let me pull up the names again so that I can see them myself. I should be able to get on Discord on my phone without crashing my network.
Are you sure?
Oh, we're gonna find out. If I suddenly go quiet, something happened. Um,
Where?
man.
Hmm. I don't know. I thought Shah Han's fanboy was pretty good.
Shahan's fanboy is pretty good, but I am going to go with the blunderbuss bamboozler, Chroma Architect. I'm
Ooh,
choosing you.
Chroma Architect.
We're choosing you this week. Yes, the
Ooh,
blunderbuss bamboozler. I love that.
that's a good one.
That's a very good one. I'm very excited for that one.
Remember, everybody, we have one more week to, you know, do the whole thing. So get your nicknames in. Get your nicknames in
Get
so
your
you can get that
nicknames
sweet silver
in.
pack.
Yes, I
I
really like that one this week.
Yeah, that's a good one. We had some good ones this week. That second week, you know, they were good, but not as good as the first week. But no, we came back strong this week, guys. So let's finish. Let's finish this contest up strong. Hit us up on the Discord. Go to the contest channel. Leave your nicknames there. Josh, as always, thank you for your time tonight. Glad you're back.
No problem. I'm glad to be back. I needed a mental health reset last week, and I'm glad that I took it. I'm glad that I took some time
We
for
need one of
myself.
those every once in a while, you know?
I do. I think I've missed like one episode the entire time that we've done this show, and that was to take a vacation earlier this year. So
Yeah.
2.5 years of doing this, and I've missed one show. I was due for a break. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and Corey
Where
will
can
be
we find
taking
you,
a break
Josh?
here in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. I'm gonna be reviewing Blue and Green Milk. I'm gonna be reviewing some sandwiches.
What
I'm
about
gonna be
Ronto
reviewing,
wraps?
yeah, reviewing the breakfast and the lunch
Oh,
Ronto
the
wraps.
breakfast one is king.
Yeah, the spicy chicken waffle sandwich. Be reviewing that.
Oh,
So
God, you're eating everything that I really want right now. You can find
yeah,
me on Twitter at Josh_Finn, two N's. Or you can find me, obviously, in the Discord. We're having conversations about not just Destiny. We're talking about other multiplayer games. I know myself
Marvel
and
Snap.
me, Nerd, and Phil, good old Citizen Scum, have been really into Marvel Snap lately. We've been snapping it up for the last week. Of course, a bunch of us are doing Fortnite and Overwatch matches right now. I'll be playing some Modern Warfare 2 if anybody wants to get some rounds in. I'm not very good, but I'm down to play. It's my first time playing COD in about a decade, but I really wanted a different multiplayer game to play than just Destiny and Fortnite. So
That's
hit me
fair.
up. We'll get some rounds in. We've kind of eased off on the rating and the dungeoning, I think, as we approach towards the end of the season. I think we're all kind of okay. We're getting into the routine of we're going to take a break, but with
Yeah,
the with Deepstone being revamped and with a new dungeon on the horizon next season, I expect we'll be popping again over the holidays.
yeah. Uh, yeah. I took a couple weeks off from raiding. I'm taking a crew through Val the Disciple tomorrow, but
Nice, nice.
we did run some duality. I got the sword. Didn't tell you that.
Nice.
So Joasis took us through. Shout out to him. I want to you can follow me at I am Corey HD on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching and or listening. And until next time, Guardians, we love you. Goodbye.
Bye bye now.
Bye bye.
Mm.